Hello, loves. How are you, beautiful people, my queens? Hey, hey now. Hi, Instagram. Okay, so hang tight. I'm just going to go ahead and share this video out. I actually didn't even put like a title on Instagram. I'm talking about, do your past life experiences resemble a dramatic tragedy? Basically. And then we're going to talk about 3 secrets to start healing. A lot of us have gone through so many different experiences in our lives that weren't great. They weren't good at all. So we really want to talk about healing today. So give me a moment. I'll start in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and share it out. If you're here with me, come say hi and make sure you're sharing this video out. And the door is open today to Confidently Courageous. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Confidently Courageous towards the end, but I kind of wanted to give you some goodies first before I go into that. I probably should give y'all some like waiting music or something. Let's see, we are live now. Join us. I actually didn't have any music today because I don't want to get distracted. I get so distracted with my music sometimes. Don't let my song come on. I'll stop teaching in a minute. But I gotta be smart. I gotta use wisdom. I said if I'm gonna come teach, then no music. If I was just coming to talk to y'all, I have music on. But I want to give you guys 3 secrets to start healing today, especially if you've had traumatic experiences in your life. Or they don't even have to have been traumatic, but if you've had negative experiences that affect you to this day, I really want to talk about that. If you're here with me, go ahead and share this video out. I'm on a mission for million waging war against the spirit of fear. Oh, actually, let me do this. Okay. Excuse me. On a mission for millions, y'all. Give me about another minute. I'm going to continue to share. And then we're going to get started. All right, boom. Oh, wait. Did it work? Why won't I do it on here? Okay, so I just kind of wanted to give you guys 3 secrets to start healing. If you have dealt with traumatic experiences, if you've dealt with negative experiences in your life, and so many of us have, and they're different. They're different for everybody. We've gone through so many different things, and it's really just a part of life. It's a part of life. Every day is not always going to be hunky-dory. It's not always going to be peaches and cream. But we've got to take things in stride, and we've got to learn how not to let these experiences dictate how we move forward. Okay. Here we go. Yeah. All right, boom. So let's set this here so I can see the comments. All right. So I'm actually just going to jump in. I don't anticipate this video being super, super long. I kind of just wanted to come in and give you guys a few tips. So I'm sorry for all the prep work. I want y'all to be able to see me properly. So one of the things I really kind of wanted to talk about when it comes to, these 3 secrets to healing is 3 questions that are really, really important to ask. When you have dealt with traumatic experiences, when you have dealt with experiences that were negative. And number 1 is, have I had traumatic experiences that still affect me to this day? A lot of us have gone through things and it still lingers in our hearts to this very day. We're still triggered by sounds. We're still triggered by smells. We're still triggered by words. And they remind us of these experiences that we've had. Can y'all see me? Let's do this. Okay, I feel like my face was like really, really low. And so it's really, really important, number one, to ask yourself, what experiences have I had in the past that still affect me today? A lot of us have dealt with abuse and neglect. I know very many people who have dealt with physical abuse as a child, or sexual abuse as a child, emotional abuse as a child, or growing up, or even in their teenage years. There's so many women that I know who have experienced domestic violence, whether it was recent or whether it was in the past. Many people have experienced a death of someone that was really, really close to them, whether the death was a tragic death or, whether it was an illness. Many women have experienced their own illness in their own body, whether it's cancer, whether it's lupus, no matter what it is. These experiences can affect us beyond the initial happenings of them. And so we've really got to be honest with ourselves. We really got to take time and ask ourselves, what experiences have I had in the past that still affect me today? And then this is where you really want to take a moment and think about, when was the last time I was triggered? When was the last time I was triggered and that experience came back up in my system? What triggered that? Did I hear something? Did somebody say something to me that reminded me of what happened way back when? What did I smell? It's so crazy because our smell is the strongest sense tied to memories. And there's been many times where, I'll smell like, it's this weird like cinnamon apple type smell, but it reminds me of my grandmother's house. So not to say that that's a traumatic, scenario, but many times people have been triggered by scents and smells and perfumes and colognes. There's been instances where young women who have been raped or young women who have been sexually abused, their perpetrator had a particular cologne on. And when they smell it to this day, it triggers them. It takes them back to that moment. And when we're triggered and we're taken back to that moment, these feelings can start to flood. These feelings and these emotions can start to flood, and a lot of times we don't feel safe even in that moment. So number one, it's really, really important to understand, what experiences have I had that are coming up for me today in my waking life, in my daily life. We've got to acknowledge that first and foremost. I'm all about getting to the root, and this is where we're going to start looking at the root. Okay? So this is secret number one. And actually, before I continue, I realized I didn't even introduce myself. Some people may be coming across me like, well, who are you? I don't know who you are. You're talking about some deep stuff, but who are you? My name is Candace Gray, and I'm the Courage Coach. I'm a confidence and courage coach for women of faith and entrepreneurs, really helping them overcome and conquer and obliterate and assassinate these fears and these feelings of unworthiness that have essentially kept them from walking in their purpose. And it's held them back. And, I'm on a mission for millions to wage war against the spirit of fear. When I say I'm on a mission for millions, that means right now, if you're here with me, share this out. Share this out. There are so many women who are struggling with fears, and it's holding us hostage. And there's so much on the inside of us that we're not able to press through to because these fears are holding us back. So join me on my mission for millions. Please share this out if you're here with me. Even if you can't stay for a little bit, pop in, say hi, and then share the video out, okay? So number one was, ask yourself this question. Have I had traumatic experiences that still affect me to this day? There's many times that we feel like we've overcome a situation, or we've gotten past a situation, and then something happens and it triggers those feelings and they bubble back up for us. And we're like, oh my gosh, I thought I explored that. I thought I was through with that, but we're not. If we can be triggered to certain emotions and certain feelings, and in that moment, it takes us back to when the offense originally happened, we've got to still explore what it is that we're not letting go. I've had that happen to me. I have had that happen to me before. Years ago, I had some issues with my father. And I remember writing him a letter, really just kind of pouring out my heart in regards to some of the issues that I had with him. And for me, that was my moment of forgiveness. That was my moment of communicating to him my feelings and really trying to release. Well, this was like maybe like right out of high school, maybe somewhere right before I was going to college. And years later, I remember something happened and it triggered these feelings and it reminded me of my father. And in those moments, I kid you not, I remember these feelings and these emotions of like resentment and anger and abandonment starting to come back up for me in that moment. And I was tripped out because I'm like, I thought I dealt with this. I thought I dealt with this. But in that moment, I realized I hadn't. There were still some things that I needed to deal with. So if you're still being triggered to this day from things that happened to you way back when, you've got to continue to explore what you're not letting go, what you're still holding on to, okay? So number two, I want you to ask yourself this question. What did those traumatic experiences tell me about the world? What did they tell me about myself? And what did they tell me about other people? Everything we experience, it gives us a worldview. We tend to now look at the world through this lens of the very thing that happened to us. So when we think about people who maybe have dealt with sexual assault growing up or domestic violence or any type of physical offense, you know, something that it could tell you about the world is I don't trust people. You know, if you have been raped in the past, maybe now moving forward, you don't trust men. I'm being honest with you, I have heard so many young ladies tell me over the course of so many years, all of these women who have had some sort of sexual abuse, many of them have now decided that they want to become bisexual or homosexual and that they wanted to be with women because they didn't trust men anymore. They were scared of men. So that trauma that happened to them told them something about the world. It told them something about other people. For them, it told them something about men. I can't trust you and you're going to hurt me. I had a young lady tell me this was, I was working in a group home and she came into this group home. She had a lot of issues with, you know, her family, you know, her mother and her father. And I remember her telling me one time, you know, as we were kind of sitting down talking, she was very, very reluctant to like open up. We had a really good relationship, but she was very reluctant to open up. And I remember her saying to me, I don't trust adults. Whatever happened to her happened at the hand of an adult to where now moving forward in her life, she couldn't trust adults. She felt like she couldn't talk to someone who was sent to help her. But in her mind, it didn't look like help. All she knew was that you're an adult and I don't trust adults because whenever I open up to an adult, something happens. I've had other young kids tell me that. They tell adults certain things and the next thing they know, they're removed from their homes. They're removed from their families. And then sometimes they're punished for it. So these things tell us something about the world. They tell us something about other people. And then they tell us something about ourselves. You know, many people who have dealt with physical offense, you know, tend to internalize that. Many young women who have dealt with rape and a lot because trauma, you know, such as abuse and any type of neglect, they really tear down a person. And so a lot of times sexual assault tells women something about themselves. Many women that I've spoken to, they feel unworthy of things. They feel like my body is no longer sacred. My body is no longer my own. And so what happens is they tend to move forward seeking the very thing that was an offense to them at one point. They were sexually assaulted at one point, but now they're moving forward seeking that very thing. Love through a sexual connection, through a physical connection, because they no longer value their bodies. Because at a young age, something happened to them that told them my body is no longer valuable. My body is no longer sacred. So it's important to ask yourself, what have these experiences told me? What did they tell me about myself? What do I now believe about myself? Hey now, just jazzy jazz. Hey mom. So you have to ask yourself, you know, what did these experiences tell me about myself? What do I now believe about myself based on this past experience? What do I now believe about the world based on this past experience? And what do I now believe about others based on this past experience? And when we're going through these steps, it's really, really important to write this down, because this is an exploration. This is the beginning of an exploration that's going to lead to your healing. In order for us to heal, we've got to pinpoint what's wrong. We've got to pinpoint the pain. We've got to pinpoint the ailment. If you go to the doctor, they're going to treat a specific ailment. They're not just going to look at the overlying symptoms of pain and say, okay, well, I think it's this. No, they're going to do tests, and they're going to explore to find out what it is so that they can know how to treat it accordingly. And this is essentially what we're doing here. Is we're now starting this journey of healing, and we've got to be able to treat it accordingly, but we've got to know what specifically to treat. And many times when we're on this new journey and we're exploring, it can be very, very scary, because that means we've got to face some things inside of us that are very, very painful. And a lot of times we don't want to face it. These feelings and these emotions can start to come up for us. And a lot of times it can feel like it's overwhelming us and it's overtaking us. But we've got to be careful not to let it overtake us in the moment. We've got to understand in that moment, and we've got to try to ground ourselves that it's not happening to me right now. I'm safe. I'm okay. So we've got to be very, very intentional about our space when we're trying to explore who we are and where we've been. Many times I would recommend trying to find a quiet space where you can just take time to journal. You can take time to pray and kind of just talk out loud to yourself, where there's no distractions. So I want to encourage you to find the courage to start this journey of exploration. It takes courage to do it. It does. So many women are just so scared to tap in just a little bit because they feel like their whole world's going to fall apart. But what happens if we don't tap in? If we don't tap into the very thing that's been holding us back, and we don't really get to the root of it, we're never going to be set free. We're always going to be attached to this very thing that's holding us back. So I want to encourage you to find the courage and to step out one foot at a time, to really explore the internal depths of our hearts. Okay? So number one is, have I had traumatic experiences that still affect me to this day? And number two is, what did those traumatic experiences tell me about the world, other people, and myself? And thirdly, this is very, very important. Thirdly, number three is, ask yourself, am I willing to reframe those experiences so that I can find the lesson or the gift? We've got to be willing to not only explore these situations and find out what they are and why they're still attached to us, why we're still hanging on to them, but we've got to be willing to say, how can I look at this experience from a different perspective? How can I reframe what happened to me? How can I find a lesson? How can I find a gift in this particular situation? And this is a challenge for you. This is a challenge because many times, especially when we have such negative emotions associated with a particular experience, it's hard to come out of that emotion and find something good that came from it. A lot of people say, how can you find something good that came from a rape and I got pregnant? I'm going deep, y'all. I'm going deep. And a lot of y'all might not even agree with what I have to say. But and I've come across people who have been pregnant and they've had their babies from a rape, and it was the best thing that ever happened to them because they had learned to not associate this child with an offense, but they learned to look at this child as a gift. It changed their lives. I've had a few young ladies, they were teens, 14, 15, 16, who got pregnant from a rape. Was the rape the traumatic or the tragic experience? Absolutely. Was it okay? Absolutely not. But these young ladies found the courage and found the strength to say, my child is a gift. And I'm going to look at my child as a gift. We can choose to look at a situation like that as a curse or a gift. We choose that. This baby had nothing to do with the experience that happened to you or with, what this person did to you. So I'm just using this as an example. So for us to punish this baby wouldn't be fair to the baby. And so when we can reframe our life experience to say, I choose to believe that this child is a gift from God, no matter what happened, no matter how this child was conceived, because it is still my child, I choose to look at this baby as a gift. And I've seen women's lives turn around and change because now this child is in their life. They were no longer doing what they did before because they made a decision in their mind that they were going to reframe that experience, that situation. No, it doesn't change what happened to you. And no, it doesn't make it okay. But we have a decision to make. How are we going to move forward? How can we look at our tragic experiences, our traumatic experiences from a different lens? You know, some of us are sick and there's, these illnesses, whether it's cancer, whether it's lupus, or whether we have a chronic disease and chronic pain. But even in our chronic pain, we're able to minister to someone else. In our pain, we're able to talk to them and tell them how we're getting through. There's a gift in that. Don't discount that. A lot of times we can become very, very selfish because it becomes all about us and our feelings and our emotions and our pain. And we fail to look at the lesson or the gift. In my pain, I can speak to someone else and heal them, even in my pain. And in that moment, it's not about me, but it's about this young lady or this other person that I'm speaking to, who can now take that bit of wisdom and that gem that I've given them, and they can move forward in their healing. But had I not gone through what's been given to me as a card in life, I wouldn't have been able to minister to them. So I say that this can be very challenging. It can, because many times we've got to go looking. We've got to look for the lesson and look for the gift. We have to. We've got to be intentional to shift our mindset, to reframe our lives. There's one example that I use when it comes to reframing. When we think of pictures, we think of, pictures that we have all on our walls in our house. They're sitting up on our TV stands. They're all over the place. These pictures are beautiful memories, right? We take pictures and we frame the beautiful memories of our lives, okay? We don't want to frame the bad stuff. We don't want to frame the bad experiences in our lives. There's not a picture of the black eye that you got when your husband beat the mess out of you. There's not a picture of your face being bruised when you got into a fight. We don't want to frame those experiences. But what happens if we took the frame off of these beautiful memories and put it on the picture of the black eye in the bruised face? And so no longer do we see this black eye and this bruised face as, an experience that we had where we felt little, where we felt insignificant, where we were going through pain, where it was the worst time of our lives. No longer do we look at this picture through that frame, but now put another frame on it. Now we can look at this was great God that kept me through that. There is a strength in that moment that I overcame and I got through. I've learned not to connect to a certain type of person from that experience. Now I can show you what God brought me through. So this frame now becomes a frame of God's mercy, of God's strength, of God's grace. But we have to decide to look at it like that. We have that decision to make. We have that choice. We can choose. And it's up to you to say, am I willing? Am I willing to reframe these experiences that I've had? Or do I want to stay stuck? Do I want to stay in pain? Do I want to stay hurt? Do I want to stay resentful? Do I want to stay angry? Do I want to sit in unforgiveness? Nobody wants to feel like that. And I know you don't want to feel like that either. The problem is that we're too scared to face it. We're too scared to face it because it hurts. We've got to understand that there is healing for pain. And you would never know what healing is if you didn't have the pain. You didn't seek the pain, but it's your time to seek the healing. And so these 3 secrets, I want to go over them again. These are 3 important steps that you need to put in place in order to start your healing if you've had traumatic accidents, or if you've had, negative experiences that have happened in your life. Number one is asking yourself, have I had traumatic experiences that still affect me to this day? A lot of us, we've overcome, and we've been able to break free and find our freedom. So if it's no longer affecting us, that's the point. So we've got to ask ourselves, how is it still coming up today in my daily life? When was the last time I was triggered? And that trigger reminded me of something way back when. Number two, what did those traumatic experiences tell me about the world, myself, and other people? What did I learn from that experience? So what did it tell me? What do I now believe as a result of that experience? How have I now faced the world as a result of that experience? And then number three, am I willing to reframe my life? Am I willing to reframe those experiences so that I can find the lesson and find the gift? Because if you're not willing to reframe those experiences, we're essentially saying, I would rather stay in the pain. I would rather stay in the position I am and continue to deal with these feelings on a regular basis. You've got to know in your heart, and you've got to make a decision in your heart and a commitment in your heart to say, I'm willing to try. I'm willing to try to reframe my life experiences so that I can find my healing, so that I can finally live in peace and freedom from the things that happened to me way back when. I don't want to deal with that anymore. And it's not that I don't want to remember it anymore, because we still have the memories, but I want to be able to look at it from a different perspective, from a different point of view. Are you going to determine in your mind that I'm going to take these experiences that I've had that have hurt me to my very core, and I'm going to look at them a bit differently so that I can find my healing and find my peace and find my freedom, and I can finally become the woman of God that I was purposed to be? And that's what Confidently Courageous is about. Confidently Courageous is about the total woman, and really exploring the roots of the issues that have been holding us back. There's things that have happened to us way back when that's still keeping us stuck. We have a dream on the inside of us, but we're afraid to move on it because of something that we believe about ourselves that we've been told way back when. You'll never be anything. Maybe someone hasn't said that to you. Maybe they haven't actually said it in those words, but whatever this experience was, whatever happened to you, made you believe that you'll never be anything, that you'll never be successful, and that you won't be able to do it. And so you always play a small game because secretly you really feel like you can't play in the big leagues. You secretly feel like that. You won't tell nobody that. But you never go for the big leagues because you don't believe you can play in them. It's time to understand that the big leagues were created for you. And I want to show you that through Confidently Courageous. We are playing in the big leagues. And the big leagues were created specifically for you, especially if you've had these experiences, because God is going to use that experience for His glory. He's not only going to transform your life, but He's going to transform the lives of others who are connected to you, who are looking up to you. You're no longer going to live in this shame and this fear and this embarrassment about what happened to you, but you're going to be able to embrace what happened to you and bring healing to other women. But you've got to deal with the mess on the inside of you first before you can move forward. And that's what I want to do. I wanted to be able to open the doors today to Confidently Courageous to say, now is your time. Now is your time. Here's the opportunity for you to explore the very things that you've been scared to explore up until now. And that's what Confidently Courageous is about. Fighting fear, facing fear. We've got to do the scary things if we want the greater rewards. You got to face your fear in order to find freedom, and we've got to learn how to chase courage. There is no courage without fear. We want to be courageous, but we kind of don't. We don't want to be courageous because we don't want the precursor to courage. We don't want the fear. We don't want the pain. But how will you ever know courage if you don't get through and overcome and conquer? So I wanted to introduce to you, I came, was it yesterday or the day before, and talked about Confidently Courageous, but I really wanted to just give an invitation to you for the Queen's Courage Camp. Now, the Queen's Courage Camp is my 6-month mastermind within Confidently Courageous. And so within the Queen's Courage Camp, this is the biggest program. And this is where, women who are really ready to explore internally and dig deep and really come out victorious on the other side, set free from the bondage and from the snare of the enemy. This is where we can really get together and support each other, lift each other up, learn from each other, and move forward in our lives more confidently than we've ever have before. I'm talking about total transformation in 6 months. And so what this looks like is we'll go through the Confidently Courageous program. We'll go through the entire program. The workshops and retreats don't go through the entire program, but the mastermind goes through the entire program over the course of 6 months. And so I want to tell you what we're going to be covering. In module 1 and month 1 is essentially going to be your one-on-one call with me, where we're going to write the vision and make it plain. I want to know, and I want you to know what it is that you expect out of Confidently Courageous and out of yourself over the next 6 months. What do you want your life to look like at the end of the year? When we're walking into December, who do you want to be? You can be her before we go into the next year. Trust me, you can be her. So we're going to write the vision and make it plain. And this is where you'll have that one-on-one with me. Me and you write out the vision, okay? Month 2, we're going to go ahead and get into module 1, which is discovering the root of fear and feelings of unworthiness. And so when we're in month 2, there's going to be monthly trainings that you'll have access to. Live, everything's live, monthly live trainings. And then we're going to have bi-weekly accountability and support calls with each other. There's only 10 women. I'm only accepting 10 women into the Queen's Courage Camp, okay? So month 1, we're talking about negative experiences, these negative experiences that we've had in the past. We're talking about generational curses, things that have transmitted from generation to generation to generation, from your grandmother to your mother to yourself, and maybe even further in your lineage. And how can we not only recognize these generational curses, but how can we break them in the moment? How can we break them right now with yourself so that your children and your children's children don't suffer from the same thing? Okay? And then we're going to dig deep into abuse and neglect. So many women have dealt with abuse and neglect in various forms. But we're going to explore what that does, not only to the physical body, but what it does to the brain and how it reprograms the brain so that now you're looking at life totally different than you would have had you not experienced that abuse and that neglect. So that's month 2, okay? Month 3, we're going to move into reframing your life more positively. And this is where we're talking about finding the lesson and finding the gift. How can I learn how to reframe and find a lesson and find a gift in even the most heinous things that have happened to me? Even the things that I feel like were the worst things that can happen to any person in the world, and I wouldn't wish this on my enemy. How can I have a heart and learn how to reframe this on a regular basis? And then we'll move into the power of your testimony. We're in this part, what we're doing is we're really fighting against that spirit of shame and that spirit of embarrassment. A lot of us have had experiences where we don't want to tell anyone about them because we're ashamed of what happened. Whether it's something that someone else did to us or whether it's decisions that we've made. We're ashamed and we don't want to tell anybody about it, so we keep these secrets. I really want to talk about the power of your testimony and how there's deliverance and healing in you telling your story to someone else, not only for you, but for them. There's power in that. And then we're going to move on to cognitive practices. And cognitive practices are the psychological practices that I'm going to show you that you can actually implement on a daily basis when these feelings and when these thoughts start to really surface for you. How can I explore relaxation techniques so that I can calm myself and de-escalate myself in the moment? How can I ground myself in the moment when these feelings are starting to arise and I'm, on the edge of a panic attack? How can I ground myself to understand that I'm safe in this moment and that the trauma is not happening to me in this moment? Okay, that's month 1, 2, 3. That's month 3. So month 4, we're putting our courage into action. And the reason why I'm doing this over the course of several months is because it takes time for us to explore these things. It takes time for us to work through them and understand how it's coming up for us in daily life. So month 4, we're talking about courage in action. Up until now, we really explored the internal processes and how we can shift internally. Now it's time to walk it out. We've got to walk it out in courage, and we've got to do the scary things. It's about doing at this point, Okay? So we're talking about connection and communication and how important it is to connect to the people who may have hurt us at one point or another and communicate our feelings and communicate the very things we want. We've got to open up our mouths. We have not because we ask not. So we've got to learn to open up our mouths and ask for the very things that we want. Maybe it's an opportunity that we want. Maybe we need, clarity, or we need closure from something that happened, but we've got to open up our mouths and connect to this person. And understand that our growth and our transformation isn't determined upon your response to me. It's not about what you say to me. It's not about if I approach you and I want to have a conversation with you. If you shut me down, my courage has nothing to do with your response. My courage has everything to do with my initiation in action. I did it. This was for me. I needed to let this go. And so we'll dig a bit deeper into that. And then we're going to talk about personal responsibility. So many times we tend to blame other people for what happened. How many times have you blamed someone else for maybe what happened to you and the fact that it's still coming up for you in life? We have got to learn to take personal responsibility for where we are today. We choose to stay stuck many times. We don't want to face the pain, but we're mad because we're still in pain. So we've got to accept personal responsibility for where we are right now. And I'm telling you guys, this is going to get deep because I want to hold you accountable to your success. I want you to be successful. I want you to walk in freedom. I want you to rest in God's peace. But many times God has his peace on a platter and we're just looking at it like, oh, that look real good, but that ain't for me. Baby, he's giving it to you. So we'll explore that a bit more. And then we're going to talk about freedom and forgiveness. We've got to learn how to forgive. Forgiveness isn't about the other person. It's about us saying, I want to let this go and I don't want to be hurt anymore. I don't want to be in pain anymore. I don't want to be angry anymore. I don't want to be jealous anymore. I don't want to be resentful anymore. How can I just let this go? How can I forgive you? Does it make what you did to me right? No, it doesn't. I'm not saying that what happened to you was right and that it was okay, because it wasn't. But at some point or another, we've got to make a decision in our heart to say, I'm going to release this and I'm going to let it go. So many of you are waiting for an apology that you're never going to get. You're never going to get it. They're living their lives and they ain't thinking about you. And every single day you're thinking about them and what they did to you, and you're holding yourself hostage. So we'll dig deep into freedom and forgiveness. And then lastly, we're gonna end on consistency and accountability as a part of the mastermind. We'll talk about ongoing support and accountability. How can I remain consistent every single day in fighting these thoughts that keep coming up for me? These thoughts that you're not worthy, these fears. How can I fight them every single day? How can I connect to someone else who can hold me accountable and who can support me? Someone that I trust and someone that understands what I'm going through. How can I connect with them to increase my power? And then we'll move on to the circle of intimidation. With the circle of intimidation, now how can I connect to someone else who is where I'm trying to go? How can I glean wisdom from you? How can I reach out to you to say, how can I learn from you? These are the people that we admire, that we respect, that we look up to. A lot of times these people, we're like, oh my gosh, like I would never want to reach out to them personally. But we are. We are inside of the courage camp. It's about taking big, bold, courageous action. That's what this is about. If you want to be the woman that you say you want to be, then guess what? We got to do some things. And then we're going to talk about pressing through the pain with persistence. You've got to be persistent. You've got to keep going no matter what comes your way, because if you give up, you're going to lose everything that you've been calling and pulling towards you. We've got to press through that pain. Is it going to be difficult? Yeah. But at the end of that, when you've overcome that, how much more confident and courageous will you feel? That's what it's about. Is these feelings of accomplishment and fulfillment because I did the very thing that I didn't even think I could do. I pressed through even when it got rough, even when it got difficult, even when I was depressed, even when I didn't feel like it. I did it, yo. That's what I want for you. I want you to see the very strength that lies on the inside of you. And so after we have gone through 5 months of really digging deep and exploring and doing the scary things and transforming our lives and becoming a totally different woman, on the other side of this, There's a 5-day live event. We're going to be going to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, where you'll be able to connect with the other 9 women that we've been talking to over the past 6 months. And we'll be able to connect in person to really support each other and uplift each other and encourage each other. And we'll have 5 days of not only just this deep exploration, but now we're going to put our courage into action in real life. Excursions, events. We're going to have fun. We're really going to connect in a different atmosphere. We're going to walk away from our homes so that we can come into a different atmosphere so that we can really solidify our peace. And it's crazy. I'm so excited about the 5-day international retreat. Like, this is the portion where now it's time to do the very scary things, even in life. Not just connecting with someone that you need to connect to, but, if you're scared to go skydiving, if you're scared to go zip lining, guess what we're going to do? We're going to do the very scary things so that you can create memories and you can create experiences. And this acts as a positive reinforcement for you moving forward. You can look back on this experience and say, dang, I really did some great things. And so at the end of the Queen's Courage Camp, you're really going to be clear on your passions and purpose. You're going to be able to walk in more confidence, loving yourself on a new level like never before. You'll understand your identity in Christ as a Proverbs 31 woman. You're going to have an encouraging sisterhood that supports you and prays for you. We need to be able to connect to other queens who are going to uplift us and pray with us. You're going to be able to proudly testify about God, how God has turned your mess into a powerful message. You have memories that last a lifetime and stories to tell for generations. These are stories that you're going to be able to tell your kids and your grandkids about the things that you did at this retreat and how you've overcome the things that you've experienced your entire life. How are you going to tell your daughters and your granddaughters how to overcome a situation that you're still struggling with? A situation that you never let go. And it may be something secret that you never told them and they don't even know you're dealing with it. But how are you going to minister freedom and healing to them when you're not free and you're not healed? That's what this Queen's Courage Camp is about surrounding each other with love and recognizing the enemy's patterns and traps and obstacles in your life so that we know how to move forward. It's about walking in forgiveness from past trauma and abuse and being more aligned with God's will for your life in relationships and in business, understanding the power that lies within. I tell you, it's something when you see the power that you have. It can be scary in itself, and a lot of times it takes courage just to even walk that out. But I would rather see the power in myself than the weakness in myself. Even in our weakness, God's strength is made perfect. But I would rather see that power in myself than that weakness. If you're ready to see the power within yourself, I want to invite you to join me for the Queen's Courage Camp. It's a 6-month mastermind under the Confidently Courageous program. Now, it's only 10 spots available for this, and there is an interview process. Anyone just can't come register for the Queen's Camp. I really need to know that you're serious about changing the trajectory of your life and walking in peace and walking in freedom and finally making a determination that I'm going to live bigger and bolder and more authentically than I ever have before. I want to know that you're serious about becoming her, the confidently courageous woman. So I want you to inbox me if you're feeling called, if you're feeling like this is my time, this is my year, I'm ready to do this. I want you to inbox me so that we can go ahead and get you interviewed and if you're a good fit, then we'll go ahead and get you into the program. Now the Queen's Courage Camp will be starting on June 5th. So I only have 10 spots available. So if those spots fill up before June 5th, then that's it. I'm going to give you a link here to get more information about the Confidently Courageous program. Hold on. With me, share this out. I'm going to be wrapping up in a minute, but the replay is always good. Always good. I'm just going to give you a link. Uh-oh, my phone's falling. Okay. So if you go to bit.do/confidently courageous, you'll find out more about the entire program. I am opening the doors today to the Mastermind, which starts on June 5th. I'm also opening the doors to the workshops as well. You can go on the website to find out more about the workshops. And I forgot to tell you, I also am opening the doors to the free masterclass. There's a free masterclass on the website that you can go to. And what the free masterclass is essentially the first level, I guess, level topic in each of the modules. We're going to cover the first level and topic of each of the modules, and it's about maybe 2/3 of the topic. So I can't give you everything in the masterclass, but I want you to be able to have something. I want you to be able to get your feet wet and understand how you can discover the root of fear and unworthiness. I want you to understand how you can reframe your life more positively. I want you to understand how you can put your courage into action. And I want you to understand how you can break forth with consistency and accountability. So if you go to rafahealing.com, you'll find the free masterclass. It's actually under the freebies, or you can go to the Confidently Courageous button, or the tab under Women of Faith, and then you can access the free masterclass there as well. So ladies, I just want to encourage you to make a determination that this is your year. This is your year to become the confidently courageous woman that you really want to be, the woman that you see. She's not a fictional character. She's on the inside of you. You can become her. You are her, but you've got to walk it out. There's some things that we've got to deal with, that we've got to move out so that God can give us the very things that he wants to give us. These blessings that he wants to pour out, we've got to get in position to receive them. Because if God's going to pour out his blessings and we're still holding on to this mess, we're going to miss it. We're going to miss it. And I don't want you to miss it. So I want you to join me on this mission for millions, waging war against the spirit of fear. Today is your day. Now is your time. If you're feeling like the Queen's Courage Camp is for you, inbox me so that we can go ahead and move through the interview process. So I'll be back on Friday. On Friday, I'm going to be exclusively inside of the Confidently Courageous Woman. It's my private community here on Facebook. You can go into the search bar and find it under the Confidently Courageous Woman. Or you can actually go to my website as well. It's on there. But I'll probably put the link. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of put the link in here while I have you on right now. So give me just a second. The Confidently Courageous. So if you're not in the group, join me in the group. Because I'll be doing exclusive trainings there as well. All these trainings that, especially like the ones that you're seeing right now on my personal profile, I'm not going to continue to do this on my personal profile over the next few weeks. I will do some of them here, but the rest of them will be on my business page and inside of the private group. I really want to have a safe space in my community where we can actually kind of talk about these things. So a few of them I'll bring here to you guys on my profile. The rest of them will be on my business page and then inside of my private group. So I put the link to the Confidently Courageous Woman in the chat box. So go ahead and click that link if you're not already in the group. Go ahead and request access, and I'll go ahead and let you in immediately. But I will be back Friday, same time, 2 o'clock on my business page, Candace M. Gray, MS, The Courage Coach. You can search for that too. Or you can just go to my page and then just click on it. It's like on my profile. You can see it there. So I'm going to sign off of here, beautiful ladies, and I will see you on Friday. Love you.